3 school horror stories that will keep you awake tonight. Story 1. The Last Student in Classroom 204. My name is Ethan Walker, and this happened during my senior year of high school. It was a Friday evening, and I had detention for using my phone during class. By the time detention ended, it was almost 7 p.m. Everyone had already gone home, and heavy rain pounded against the school windows. "You're free to go, Ethan." I grabbed my backpack and stepped into the hallway. The lights suddenly flickered. Then everything went dark. Only the emergency lights remained, filling the hallway with a dim red glow. Mrs. Peterson frowned. "Looks like the power's out." Before either of us could move, the school speakers crackled to life. "Attention students, please report to classroom 204 immediately." We stared at each other. "There shouldn't be any power," Mrs. Peterson whispered. The announcement repeated, "All students, classroom 204. Then the hallway fell silent. Mrs. Peterson quickly grabbed her keys. "You head to the front gate. I'll check the electrical room." That was the last time I ever saw her. I hurried toward the main entrance, trying to ignore the strange silence. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Behind me. I stopped. The footsteps stopped. I turned around. Nobody. The hallway stretched endlessly under the red emergency lights. I kept walking. Again, the footsteps followed. This time they were closer. I started running. As I passed classroom 204, I noticed something impossible. The door was open. Inside, dozens of students sat perfectly still at their desks. Every one of them faced the blackboard. None of them moved. None of them spoke. One by one, they slowly turned their heads toward me. Every face was completely pale. Every eye was solid black. I ran without looking back. I finally reached the security office near the entrance. The room was empty. On the desk sat an old attendance register. I opened it. Every page listed students from years ago. Beside every name, one word: missing. My hands shook as I turned the final page. There was only one name written in fresh black ink: Ethan Walker, present. Someone knocked on the office door. I looked through the glass. Nobody. Then another knock. This time, from inside the room behind me. I bolted from the office and sprinted toward the front doors. They wouldn't open. I shoved harder. Nothing. Behind me, children began laughing. Dozens of voices echoed through the hallway. The laughter slowly turned into crying, then into screaming. I covered my ears and pushed against the doors with everything I had. Finally, they burst open. Cold rain hit my face. I had made it outside. I looked back once. Every classroom window was filled with students, watching me. None of them blinked. Police searched the school the next morning. They found no students, no teachers, no sign that anyone had been inside. When I told them about Mrs. Peterson, one officer looked confused. He searched the school's employee records. There hasn't been a teacher named Sarah Peterson here in 12 years. My stomach dropped. Before leaving, the officer handed me an old yearbook. Inside was a class photo from 12 years earlier. Standing beside classroom 204 was Mrs. Peterson, smiling. The caption underneath read, "In memory of the victims of the Hawthorne High fire." She had died in that school, along with every student in classroom 204, and somehow, she had given me detention. Story 2. Someone was living inside our school walls. My name is Jason Miller, and this happened during my sophomore year. Our school was over 80 years old. The teachers always blamed the strange noises on old pipes or the building settling. Every day during math class, we heard 3 knocks, always from the wall behind the whiteboard. Mr. Harris would stop teaching for a second, smile awkwardly, and continue the lesson like nothing happened. After weeks of hearing it, I finally asked him what it was. His face changed instantly. It's just old plumbing. But there were no pipes in that wall. That afternoon, I stayed after class to finish homework. At exactly 5:17 p.m., the knocking started again. Only this time, it sounded much closer, almost like someone was knocking from inside the wall. Curiosity got the better of me. I pressed against the wall. It moved. It creaked open. A narrow tunnel stretched into complete darkness. The air smelled damp and rotten. Using my phone flashlight, I stepped inside. Small cracks in the walls let me peek into the rooms. I could see teachers, students, everyone. But none of them knew someone could watch them from inside the walls. Then my flashlight landed on something terrifying. A rusty folding chair, a dirty mattress, empty food cans. Someone had been living there for a long time. I pulled out my phone to call the police. No signal. Then, I heard breathing. Not mine. Someone else was inside the tunnel. Very close. My flashlight began shaking. I slowly turned around. The passage behind me was empty. I sighed in relief. Then my flashlight flickered upward. Scratched into the ceiling were hundreds of words. Don't look up. Without thinking, I looked up. Two pale eyes stared back from a small opening above me. A dirty hand reached through the darkness. I ran. The tunnel seemed longer than before. Every turn looked the same. Behind me, fast footsteps echoed through the darkness. Something was chasing me. I didn't dare look back. I finally spotted the hidden door. I shoved it open and stumbled into the empty classroom. I slammed the bookshelf back into place. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, 3 slow knocks. Knock. 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 From the other side of the wall. The police searched the school that night. They found the tunnel. They found the mattress, the food, the chair. But they never found the person who had been living there. The principal ordered the tunnel sealed with concrete. A month later, our classroom reopened. Everything seemed normal. Until math class. Mr. Harris picked up his marker and started writing on the board. Then we all heard it. 3 familiar knocks. Knock. 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 Only this time, the sound came from inside the newly sealed wall. The teacher slowly stopped writing. Without turning around, he quietly said, "Class is over." Story 3. The school bus that never reached home. My name is Noah Brooks, and this happened when I was 16. Basketball practice ended later than usual. By the time my friends and I reached the front gate, our regular school bus had already left. There were only 5 of us standing in the rain. No cars. No parents. No taxis. Just an empty road. Then, an old yellow school bus slowly appeared through the fog. It looked older than any school bus I'd ever seen. The paint was faded. Several windows were cracked. Most strange of all, there was no school name printed on the side. The bus stopped in front of us with a loud hiss. The folding door opened. The driver never looked at us. He simply pointed toward the seats. "Guess this is our ride," one of my friends laughed. Something didn't feel right, but we all climbed aboard. As the doors closed, I could see every seat behind me, but I couldn't see the driver's face. It was just darkness. The bus pulled away without a single word from the driver. None of us recognized the route. The streets became narrower. The streetlights disappeared. After about 10 minutes, the bus stopped beside an old wooden sign. There were no houses, no roads. The driver slowly pointed toward the open door. One of my friends laughed. Very funny. Nobody moved. Then, The emergency exit alarm suddenly started blaring. The driver pointed again. This time, my friend quietly stood up. Without saying a word, he stepped off the bus. The doors closed immediately. As we drove away, I looked through the back window. He wasn't standing there anymore. The dirt road was empty. Nobody spoke after that. Every 15 minutes, the bus stopped. Each time, another friend quietly stood up. Nobody argued. Nobody cried. It was as if something was pulling them toward the door. By midnight, only 2 of us remained. I finally shouted at the driver, "Where are you taking us?" No answer. He slowly raised one hand and pointed toward the windshield. I looked ahead. The road ended at a massive iron gate. Above it, a faded sign read, "Last stop." The bus came to a stop. Neither of us moved. Then, for the first time, the driver stood up. He slowly removed his cap. My heart stopped. There wasn't a face beneath it, only complete darkness. A voice echoed from inside the shadow. "This is your stop." My friend screamed and ran off the bus. The doors slammed shut behind him. Now, I was alone. The driver slowly turned toward me. Then, he smiled, even though he had no face. I woke up the next morning in a ditch beside an empty highway. My backpack was lying next to me. The police found me hours later. They searched every road nearby. There was no bus, no driver, no sign of my 4 friends. They were all reported missing. Everyone assumed they had run away. But I know what happened. Because every year, on the anniversary of that night, I hear brakes outside my house. When I look through my bedroom window, an old yellow school bus is parked across the street. The folding doors slowly open. The driver's seat is empty. But from inside the bus, I hear 4 familiar voices. "Come on, Noah. You're the last one." I never look outside after dark anymore. Because one day, I know that bus will stop. And this time, it won't leave without me.